Daf Yomi, Tractate Chullin. Excuse me, my throat's a little bit congested, so please excuse the voice quality, sound quality. There's a Chullin, page 13, starting at the bottom of 12b for context. As we learned in that Mishnah, with regard to an acorn, pomegranate, or a nut, which miners hollowed in order to measure dirt with them, or that they fixed to a scale, the halakhic status of those shells is of vessels, and they are susceptible to ritual impurity. By contrast, if the miners merely thought to use the shells for measuring or weighing, unlike adults, they do not thereby render those shells into vessels. The reason for this distinction is due to the fact that they have the capacity to perform an action. And now we turn to Chullin 13a on the top, in other words, Ve'ein lahem machshava. But they do not have the capacity to affect a halachic status by means of thought. Amrle, machshava gradeta lo kami boile, ki kami boile machshavto nikeres mitoch ma'asav. Rabbi Chia or Abba said to Rav Ami with regard to a case of affecting a halachic status by means of thought alone. Rabbi Yochanan does not raise a dilemma. When he raises a dilemma, it is with regard to a case where his thought is discernible from his actions. Kagon, havikayim oila v'darom v'asi b'tzafon v'shachta mai midasi b'tzafon v'shachta I kavein le la oidilma makom hu to la it rami le. For example, in a case where an animal is brought as a burnt offering, was standing in the south of the temple courtyard, and a miner took it to the north of the courtyard, the designated place for its slaughter, and slaughtered it there. What's the halacha? Can one conclude from the fact that he took it to the north and slaughtered it there, that he had the intent to slaughter the animal for the sake of a burnt offering? Or perhaps he moved the animal to the north because a place did not happen to be available for him in the south. Hanami Amra Rabbi Yochanan Chadazimna Ditnan Hamale Periosav Legag Mipnei Ha-kenima v'yarad alehem tal einan v'chiyutan v'einan niskavein lekach harehen b'chiyutan. Rabbi Ami asked, but with regard to this matter too, Rabbi Yochanan already said a conclusive resolution on time, as we learned in the Mishnah in Machshirin 6:1. In the case of one who takes his produce up to the roof to protect it from insects and dew fell upon it, the produce is not in the category of the verse. But when the water is placed upon the seed, Leviticus 11:38, from which it is derived that produce becomes susceptible to ritual impurity only if it is dampened by one of 7 liquids and its owner was agreeable to its dampening. And if after taking the produce up to the roof he intended that the produce would be dampened by dew, the produce is in the category of the verse, but when water is placed upon the seed. Halum cheresh sheytekaton afal pishin iskavnu lakach einan bechi yutan. That Mishnah continues, in a case where a deaf-mute, an imbecile, or a minor took the produce up to the roof, even if they intended that the produce would be dampened by dew, the produce is not in the category of the verse, but when the water is placed upon the seed, due to the fact that they have the capacity to perform an action, but they do not have the capacity for halachically effective thought. Amr Rabbi Yochanan Lo Yishanu Ela Shelo Hebach Bahen Al Hebach Bahen Arezet Bechi Yutan. And Rabbi Yochanan says the Tana taught this halakha only in a case where the minor did not turn them over. But if he turned them over, indicating that he wants them to be dampened by the dew, the produce in the category of the verse, but when water is placed upon the seed, evidently Rabbi Yochanan rules that when the intention of a minor is apparent from his actions, it is halakhically effective. Rabbi Chia bar Abba said to Ami that this is the dilemma that Rabbi Yochanan raises. In a case where the intent of a minor is clear from his actions, is the fact that his thought is effective by Torah law or by rabbinic law. That is one version of the exchange between Rabbi Chia bar Abba and Rabbi Ami. Rabbi Nachman bar Yitzchak Meis Masni Hachi. Amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba by Rabbi Yochanan Katan yesh lo ma'aseh o ein lo ma'aseh. Rabbi Nachman bar Yitzchak teaches their exchange in this manner. Rabbi Chia bar Abba says that Rabbi Yochanan raises a dilemma with regard to a minor. Does he have the capacity to perform an action that is halakhically effective, or does he not have the capacity to perform such an action? Amar le Ami was boyale machshava ma'ishna machshava delokim boyale d'tznan ein lahem machshava ma'isa nami lo tiboyale d'tznan yesh lahem ma'isa. Rabbi Ami said to Rabbi Chia bar Abba, and let Rabbi Yochanan raise this dilemma with regard to the thought of a minor. What is different about the thought of a minor that Rabbi Yochanan does not raise a dilemma? It is due to the fact that we learn in a Mishnah in Kalim 17:15, a deaf mute, an imbecile, and a minor do not have the capacity for effective thought. With regard to action, as will let them not raise this dilemma, well, let him not raise this dilemma, as we learn in the same Mishnah. They have the capacity to perform an action. Hachi kama boyale deraiso derbanan opashit yesh lahem ma'aseh afilu deraiso ein lahem machshava afilu midrabanan machshavto nikeres mitov ma'asav deraiso ein lo midrabanan yesh lo. Rabbi Chia bar Abba says to Rabbi Ami, and this is the dilemma that Rabbi Yochanan raises, is the fact that their actions are effective and their thought is effective by Torah law, and a minor's action would constantly be effective even with regard to the sacrifice of a burnt offering. Or is this fact by rabbinic law and is merely a stringency? And Rabbi Yochanan resolves the dilemma. They have the capacity to perform an action and it is effective even by Torah law, but they do not have the capacity for effective thought even by rabbinic law. Nevertheless, in a case where his thought is apparent from his actions by Torah law, he does not have effective thought, and by rabbinic law, he has effective thought. Boimine Shmuel Rav Huna minayin lemisasek b'kedashim shu pasul shnemar b'shachat es ben habakar shedehei shchita l'shem ben bakar amar lo zeb yadinu hu lakev minyan tamar lomer l'tzomchem tizbachuhu l'datchem. Shmuel asked Rav Huna, from where is it derived with regard to one who acts unawares in the slaughter of sacrificial animals, meaning he slaughtered without intending to perform the act of slaughter at all, that the offering is disqualified? Rav Huna said to him that it is derived from a verse, as it is stated, and he shall slaughter the young bull, Leviticus 1:5, indicating that the slaughter must be for the sake of a young bull, meaning knowing that he is performing an act of slaughter. Shmuel said to him, as we receive this as an established halacha already, that one must have intent to slaughter the animal ab initio. But from where is it derived that intent to slaughter is indispensable even after the fact? It is derived from the verse, as the verse states, you shall slaughter it to your will, Leviticus 19:5, indicating slaughter the animal with your intent, meaning in the form of a purposeful action. The Mishnah says, new Mishnah, Shchitas nachri nevela umitama abimasa. Slaughter performed by Gentile renders an animal an unslaughtered carcass, and the carcass imparts ritual impurity through carrying. Okay, the Talmud, the Gemara says, Devela in Isra Hana Lo. My Tana Amar Rabbi Chia Rabbi Abba Amar Rabbi Yochanan Delaka Rabbi Eliezer Dei Rabbi Eliezer Ha Amar Stam Machsheves Nachri Lavedazar. The slaughter renders the animal an unslaughtered carcass. Yes, an item from which deriving benefit is prohibited. No. Who is the Tana who taught the Mishnah? Rabbi Chia, the son of Rabbi Abba, said that Rabbi Yochanan said it is not in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer, as if it were in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer, doesn't he say the unspecified thought of a Gentile is for idol worship? Rabbi Ami Amar Hacha Betani She does not mean Nevela Ha Demin Lavedazara Tanina Rabbanan. She does mean Lavedazara Pito Paskusi Yeno Yen Nesach Sofer Sifrei Kusmin Peiros of Tavlim Yesh Omrim Af B'nei Mamzerim. Rabbi Ami said that this is what the Mishnah is teaching. Slaughter performed by Gentile renders the animal an unslaughtered carcass, but slaughter performed by a heretic is for the sake of idol worship. The Gemara notes, we learn from an inference in the Mishnah that which the sages taught explicitly in the Braita, that slaughter performed by a heretic is for the sake of idol worship, and deriving benefit from it is prohibited. The halachic status of his bread is that of the bread of the Samaritan. The status of his wine is that of wine used for elevation of idol worship. His sacred scrolls that he writes are the scrolls of sorcerers, and it is a mitzvah to burn them. His produce is untithed produce, even if he separated truma and tithes, and some say even his sons are mamzerim at 13b. Now, as he is indifferent to his wife's engaging in adultery. Wow, made it through. Wow.